Another legal story was Vince McMahon, who made a filing this week attempting to stop a motion to basically, this is in response to last week's filing by Janel Grantside, where they are seeking the electronic media medical records of Janel's from Dr. Carlin Kolker at the Peak Wellness Facility. And the argument from Vince McMahon's side is that there was a 6-month stay placed on this case, and this action by Grantside is violating this stay because by obtaining these medical records, you are aiding in your case against Vince McMahon. So that's kind of their argument here. Ann Callis had put out a statement previously last week and just reiterated it this week to WrestleNomics, stating that they did not violate any federal stay by filing a state action against a non-defendant, which Carlin Kolker is not a defendant in this case, nor is he being sued by Grant's team either. So just more movement in this case. The stay, in order to allow for the federal investigation to take place, runs until December the 11th of this year. So that is when, in theory, that is the time period to be looking at if anything is going to happen from a federal investigation point of view. But the rest of this sort of just remains on hold, and I guess someone's going to have to rule on this if these records are going to be dispersed to Janel Grant, or if there is going to be some fight about whether this is material to the case, which they kind of outlined it does. But these are also medical records that one would feel, you are allowed your medical records under no matter what kind of order a court might have.
So would there be punishment for Janel Grant's team or Janel Grant herself if they found this to be, not within the bounds of what they agreed?
They're seeking like potential sanctions. I don't think there would be anything. I think at worst you would be looking at that, just like a judge putting a block on these medical records being transferred at least until December. Right. And I think that would largely be the extent of this. I couldn't imagine any real sanctions being put forward here. But I don't think this is. Obviously, like Ann Callis' side, they believe of like the court in which they had filed this in, and the fact that Kolker is not a defendant in the case, they're going to make the argument that this is not germane to the actual civil case with Vince McMahon.
Do you think there's any thinking on their part that, like, okay, even if we don't get these records, is there any benefit to keeping the story out there and in the public eye and getting people like us talking about it, due to all of this?
Well, that is the argument that McMahon's side put out in this statement earlier this week, stating the fact that the media has this information that is out there, and I mean last week they were just trying to paint them as trying to get attention for this, and there may be something to that, there may be not. I think that it is something where you can see that. I think you're looking at the level of how much attention that this case is getting more broadly. That it is I feel until if federal charges come down, I think you would see a mountain of coverage that this case has really not received since the beginning days of it, outside of certain outlets that have followed it. But at a mainstream level, it was really all concentrated in the beginning when you had this salacious lawsuit and you had the resignation of Vince McMahon. Sponsors were involved. There was a lot to focus on there, and it's become a much smaller story in the grand scheme of things, but one where if federal charges came down, I think that would change greatly.